This is a Missouri River flooding update by Council Bluffs and Pottawattamie County officials. In these briefings, officials will inform you about projects and developments in regards to the Missouri River, other creeks and rivers in the county, and rain.
Good morning. Today is June 30th. I'm Don Gross with the City of Council Bluffs. The city still remains at alert level 1, which is unchanged from yesterday. Another note I would like to make, due to the core levee seepage blanket project, we did issue a press release that there will be heavy truck traffic entering and exiting Veterans Memorial Highway near the ATV parking lot on the north side. That is really immediately east of the Missouri River Bridge on Vets Highway. All westbound traffic will need to be prepared to merge to the left lane west of South 35th Street, and traffic control devices have been installed to assist motorists to merge, while the right lane will be dedicated to truck traffic only. It's my understanding that the Corps is still working at Dodge Park in the area around the National Historic Trail Center, and now has opened up the Veterans Memorial Highway project. Just ask citizens driving in the area to be just extra cautious. Situationally, we had no major levee or flood incidences reported to us yesterday or last night. However, we do have reports continually coming in of sewage backups and basements and wet basements and flooded basements. As far as current issues and projects, Public Works deployed a 2-man dive team yesterday to successfully seal a leaking 18-inch stormwater pipe that connects to a large stormwater conduit or culvert, which is about 7 by 8 feet, near the 4001 pump station, which is actually located west of Dodge Park Apartments. The city has a large culvert that essentially goes into the former First Avenue that feeds, well, it runs east to west in First Avenue and is the primary source of stormwater drainage to that area along Broadway. That is piped to that pump station and then pumped into the river at that location. It's my understanding they've fixed the repairs. They have put some extra seepage blankets in there and done some other work. They will temporarily pump as needed to convey the stormwater, which is coming from the 18-inch pipe, which is essentially the stormwater of the large apartment complex at that location. Yesterday, volunteers and city staff, 165 volunteers, filled 7,650 sandbags. Again, just want to remind you that volunteers are needed every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 3 at the Mid-American Center. However, we ask anybody who wants to volunteer to call the Volunteer Bureau to register so we know what to expect, essentially. That number is 712-325-4736. We also will be having a sandbagging event because of the community's request and input on Saturday, July 2nd from 8 to 3. We again ask you to register with the Volunteer Bureau. With that, that concludes my report for the day.
On behalf of Pottawattamie County, we continue to try to get our citizens to report any private damage to our damage reporting site at potcounty.com. Yesterday morning, we had 76 people had reported damage, and as of this morning, we're up to 101. So we are starting to see some better traffic to that website. Just want to remind folks that if we're going to get a FEMA declaration for individual assistance, we have to meet a certain threshold of damage to private property. And so for the folks that have had flooded basements, backed up sewers, obviously if their houses or other structures are underwater, we need to know about that. As far as the river level goes, right now it looks like it, hopefully peaked about 7:15 this morning at 35.97 feet. Was a little higher than they were anticipating, not a lot higher, but a little bit higher, but it looks like it should hopefully settle back down over the next week to ultimately about 35 feet. Right now, the Corps is not projecting any changes in the flows from Gavins Point Dam through the end of July. So that's the last numbers we received, is that they've projected through July 31st, and we should remain at the 160,000 cubic feet per second flow. Snowpack this year, just more for a point of information, was 40% above normal in the Fort Peck Garrison areas, and that's what's really been helping drive this level of flow. But a little bit of good news on the horizon, at least. Looks like the upper 4 dams, or 6 dams in that kind of Missouri River system. The upper 4 dams are going to be slightly stepping down their flows over the next couple of weeks, and so that's good news. We still got the last 2, including obviously Gavins Point, which I think are going to maintain their flow at least through the end of July. Hopefully, build a little bit more reserve in their system. But without another large rain event, it looks like we're going to have a pretty stable flow down the Missouri for at least the next 31 days. Governor Branstad yesterday looks like sent a request to Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack for an agricultural disaster declaration for 6 western Iowa counties, basically from Sioux City through to the Missouri line, including Pottawattamie County. If that's granted, that will give our farmers an opportunity to apply for certain agricultural assistance programs. Just again, kind of on the road closure note, a couple of roads that were closed or remain closed outside of Pottawattamie County, but that are affecting us. Highway 30 from Missouri Valley to Blair was closed. It should remain closed. My understanding right now is through tomorrow morning, at which point it will reopen. There may be a closure again next week to finish up some work on 30. Also, Highway 370, which is actually in Mills going to Bellevue, was temporarily closed yesterday. It's my understanding is again open now. That's driving a lot of traffic when those roads are affected back into the metro area, because basically from Sioux City down to St. Joseph, Missouri, the only ways to cross the Missouri are at 80, 480, and South Omaha Bridge Road. So that's pushing a lot of traffic in to the metro area. That's also putting a lot of pressure on our local roads. So I would just ask that citizens be patient. Traffic is going to be higher. You're going to have a lot of big trucks out on the road, on roads that they're not normally traveling. So be vigilant and pay attention to your surroundings. Again, and finally, on a safety note, apparently we had a couple of fairly large cottonwood trees that went down next to the levees, basically due to saturated ground. And I think barely missed a couple of our National Guardsmen. So be aware of that, folks. If you're on the side of the levee, you shouldn't be on the levee at all. But if you've got property that's next to the levee, trees are, the ground is very saturated, and that's definitely a safety concern. As well, pay attention to, the heat over the next couple of days. Also, just a reminder, we haven't had any other citations, I don't think, that the county issued in the past 24 hours. But stay off the water, stay out of the water. It's not only is the current dangerous, it's not healthy water that's flowing down. We've got some raw sewage in the water. Stay off of the roads if they're inundated, and don't go beyond barricades.
In other news, on Thursday, June 30th, the Bob Carey Pedestrian Bridge closed for a few hours. At 10 a.m., crews began cutting down a cottonwood tree close to the bridge connecting Iowa to Nebraska. Officials worry the large cottonwood trees had been saturated with water and were at risk of falling over. Pottawattamie County Information Director Matt Wilbur said a few trees had fallen over in other places along the levee on Wednesday. The bridge is scheduled to reopen once the tree is removed.